So my name's Amanda. My project for my thesis was Marty's Way. What is Marty's Way? Marty's Way is a kiosk application that facilitates the donations of supplies and tangible goods to local nonprofits. So not your larger Susan G. Komen, but your hyper-local animal shelters and stuff like that. So what does the kiosk do? In addition to actually being an application that runs on a kiosk at your local store, there's a marketing site component, and this basically allows these local nonprofits to go on, create accounts, and build out multiple wish lists of items that they may need as the year goes on. So for a homeless shelter, it might be blankets and sweatshirts for the winter or water in the summer. The kiosk will be located near the entrance of grocery stores, your local Weiss, Acme, anything like that, and at the very front of those stores, so it's something that catches someone's eye when they enter. In addition to displaying the supplies that are needed by these local organizations, it will educate them on, not just the supplies, but that these organizations in their community exist, and these are the needs that they have. And then in addition to just listing these items, it'll list quantities. So it's like a typical registry that you would do for a baby or a person getting married, but it'll attach quantities to these products. And users can add them to a cart and pay for them and then purchase them and deliver them to the local nonprofit. So how do we arrive at this solution? We first identified a problem. And for me, it was the local animal shelter from my hometown. I'm from the Poconos, which is about 2 hours north of here, and there's a animal shelter in Monroe County, and this is their current website as it stands today. And you can see it's non-responsive, pretty clunky, and just a lot of information. And they are an organization that not only needs monetary donations, which all nonprofits do, but they also need physical goods to help support, an influx of kittens, dogs that come into their shelter. And they facilitate letting people know in the community about these needs through their website, social media, and basically in the background here very lightly is a PDF that they have hosted on their website. And this basically lists the goods that they would need throughout the year. But like a PDF, it's not quickly editable, it's not dynamic. So based on an influx of more pets, and with that there's limitations of what they can actually do with it. So just like Awesome, various shelters or nonprofits have different ways of getting these physical good needs out to the public. One is the website, like I said. 2 is social media. And then another form is actual wish lists. Now, with websites and social media, it's great, but there's a limitation there. Unless I'm deeply connected to the organization, so if I have friends who are affiliated with the nonprofit, or I myself have some connection to the nonprofit, I probably don't know that these wish lists exist or even the organization exists. And then in addition to these other 2 platforms, there are wish list services. So Ronald McDonald House of Philadelphia actually hosts wish lists on their website, which is great. And then there are also other services that allow you to actually put up wish lists. But again, if I don't know about the nonprofit, or I don't have a friend or a family member that's connected to it, I'm probably not going out and actually finding these. In addition to that, nonprofits struggle with technology. They're limited in resources, people, and then people who know these technologies. And there's a couple different statistics out there. These were the ones that stuck out to me. One report said that 84% of nonprofit websites are actually, or their landing pages are not mobile friendly. And if I'm in the store and I'm quickly trying to see what I can get for this nonprofit and it's not, easily loadable on my phone, there's an issue there. Now, in addition to this, we obviously saw there's a need, but there are, different competition out there. So we did a competitive landscape. And in terms of competition, there are other mobile solutions. So Give is a mobile app, and this allows you to give monetary donations to local nonprofits, national nonprofits. But again, that's not really what we're trying to do here. We know there's a need for monetary donations, but we're trying to solve that actual physical good need. One a Day is a Google app, and this allows you to donate $1 a day to a local nonprofit or a national nonprofit. Again, that's monetary donations, not really what we're trying to solve. And then Johnson & Johnson has this photo app where you can upload your photos and then proceeds go to a nonprofit, but again, monetary donations. In terms of actually having a competition that serves physical good donations, Amazon sort of fills that gap. They have two different ways you can give to a local nonprofit. One is a percentage of your overall cart can go to a selected nonprofit that you determine beforehand. And then also you can actually, as a nonprofit, create an Amazon wish list of items, and then those items can be sent to your office. But again, like the website, the social media, the website hosted wish list, unless I'm connected to these organizations, I probably don't know that these are out there, or I'm not actually searching on Amazon to find them. So with Marty's Way, we wanted to be unique and still digitally focused. So what we're addressing here that the other competition is not, is that we're actually placing our product in the space that the people are at while they shop. The average American still goes to the grocery store like 1.5 times a week. So we're going and we're in the physical space where they're already at. They're already doing their shopping, and we're kind of calling that action out. And it's something that is we're used to. We're already used to at the end of a checkout aisle being asked to give $1 to a local animal shelter at Petco. So it's a pattern that Americans and users are used to. In addition, we're not just like a flat PDF on a website. We can dynamically change based on needs. So admins can go onto the marketing site, log onto their account, and actually manipulate their wish list to satisfy needs. So if we get a cold front, they can push out, we need more blankets. So who are we designing for? There's 3 personas that we try to target. The first one is Kate. She's our engaged giver. She's an application developer. She's pretty tech savvy, and she's married with no kids. And she's actively involved with local nonprofits. She's adopted pets from shelters. She's, given time and money to her local advocacy groups. And while she's not maybe our primary target audience, we understand that she has a need for this, and she knows that because she's actively involved in these organizations that many of her friends are not, and they may need a stronger call to action or something that's more in their face to actually start donating. And then this is probably our main target. This is John. He's the occasional giver. He's in his mid to late 50s, and he's used to, at the end of the checkout counter, like I said, being asked to donate $1. And so this is a pattern he knows. He knows that while he's shopping, he may be asked to give, something from his wallet. And so we're just kind of adhering to his pattern and something that he's used to. And then also, he likes to give, but he needs to be prompted. So we're kind of helping him a little bit. And then our last persona is Lauren. This is our volunteer. So these are the people who will actually be using our application or using our admin portion, the marketing site. And this person is, retired, late 50s, early 60s, understands technology, but is a little bit intimidated by it. So she has her kids helping her all the time. So we want to make sure that the marketing site is clear, simple, and easy to navigate because she needs that. So where did the name Marty's Way and the brand identity come from? Marty was my grandfather, and he was very involved in his local food kitchen. So he would every week, work and go to the soup kitchen and actually prepare meals for the homeless. And so through that, he inspired this app because up until the day he sort of passed away, he was in the soup kitchen all the time working. And so we wanted to infuse his personality, his love for life into the app. And with that, this is one of our favorite photos. So I used it as a silhouette and actually put it into the logo as the A. And then in addition to that, he was a vibrant person, so we wanted to make sure that the color palette was really vibrant and fun. And also that's just, more pleasing to look at, right? In terms of design and development, it first began with a 10-question survey. It was a conditional survey, so we wanted to see differences in user behavior. So donors, or people who are actively donating now versus people who maybe don't have the funds to donate, but are looking for specific ways to donate or have a reason why they're not donating. So it was a 10-question conditional survey, and we distributed it to 40 people. And we used this to sort of guide the priorities for phase 1, phase 2. So initially we were struggling with the idea whether it was going to be a kiosk or a mobile app and what that would pan out to be. And we also wanted to make sure that people actually care about local nonprofits versus the larger national nonprofits, your Susan G. Komen's, your United Ways. And so 2 main statistics we pulled out of the survey were that across the board, current donators and people who are not donating now but are interested in it overwhelmingly would prefer to donate locally versus nationally. And this sort of confirmed the assumption that people care about their local community and want to see where their money's going. In addition to that, we wanted to know what drives donation, like why do you donate to a particular organization over another? And whatever sort of attributes those have, we want to make sure that that's somehow infused into the application. So overwhelmingly, people wanted a personal connection to the nonprofit. So that's your local organization. It's something that you can see every day in your community. People cared about the organization's reputation, so we want to make sure that however we're presenting the organization or allowing them to present themselves within the app is something professional, clean, and just validates them. And then in addition, they like the ease of donations, right? Something that's very quick and easy that I can do while I'm shopping. I don't want to have to think about it too much. So we want to make sure that the kiosk is very simple, sort of like that made-to-order system you're used to at, Wawa or Sheetz. And like I said, we struggled at first to know whether this would live within a kiosk application or be something that's on a mobile app. So to drive sort of the phase 1, phase 2 approach, and phase 1 was end of term, we asked the question, would you rather, donate while you're in a store, or would you rather donate from your mobile device? And overwhelmingly, people said that they'd rather donate while in the store. They could see the goods and pick them up. And through that, we decided, okay, phase 1, we'll do it in a kiosk, we'll test it, see how it does, and then phase 2, maybe we'll expand to a mobile app. In addition to that, we did nonprofit interviews. So we want to make sure that this was something that the nonprofits could use, because if they're our primary user group, if they don't think it's worth it, then why do it? So the first one I spoke to is Morris Animal Refuge here in Philly. And I spoke with Wendy Evans. She's their director of operations. And I basically just asked, is this something that you think you could use? Is it something you're leveraging now in some other way? And she said that it was something that they could definitely use. They're constantly looking for smaller items, whether it be blankets or feeding bottles. And with this, she could see where they could kind of solve the need that they have. And then in addition to that, they have a limitation in space. We're tight for space in the city. So people will always ask, can I leave pallets of food? Well, no, we don't have the space or the capacity for that. So having some sort of system that could tie quantities to the amount of goods that they need was something that was very desirable. In addition, I talked to the Ronald McDonald House of Philadelphia, and I talked to their marketing person, and just to see if she also thought it was a good idea and could see leveraging it. And she was the primary person actually facilitating their wish list, and they have very many types of wish lists. They have wish lists for their summer camp versus their family suites versus their actual house. And through that, we realized that nonprofits can't just have a singular wish list. They have to have the capability of actually creating multiple wish lists to serve their needs. And then in addition to that, having the ability to dynamically update it based on emergencies, she thought was very desirable as well. So based on that feedback, we went into wireframes and paper prototyping, and this was towards the end of the fall 2015 semester, so before we actually went into development. But using this to sort of just lay the ideas out and test out the kiosk flow to make sure that an everyday consumer could get through it, understand what they're looking at. And through this, we realized that one, on the nonprofit side, they really didn't care about brand names when it comes to the products. It's a blanket, it's a bottle, it's a jug of water. They don't really need brand names associated with these products, which was great to hear. It made making the product a little bit easier and simplified. In addition to that, consumers who are going through this to actually select a nonprofit and work through the wish list finder struggled with finding product prices and actually just getting through the flow. So we adjusted the flow a little bit moving into the spring 2016 semester. And so through all those changes, we went right into development just because that was pretty quick. So before actually tying up the database to the backend and building out these more complex wish lists, we just created a quick HTML prototype. And through that, attached a UI to it, so gave it a little bit more personality, and then ran a few tests using usertesting.com. And through that, created a whole bucket of revisions and just ways that we could actually make the kiosk flow, so what the consumers are using to actually donate items, a lot simpler. So while this was being done and I was reviewing all of the revisions and possible enhancements, we were also working out the back end and building out the database and learning how to actually construct and make the marketing site, what the admins would be using to build out these wish lists, actually attached to the application on the kiosk and speak to one another. The next part was actually updating the UI and just pushing the design a lot further based on the feedback from usertesting.com. So one of the main pieces of feedback was while they're going through this application, which I'll get through in the demo, they can basically decide whether they want to deliver the items, take the items from the store and bring it to the nonprofit themselves, or leave it for pickup. So they can leave it at the front, customer service desk, and then a nonprofit can send a team member to come out and pick it up. And that was not clear in the initial design, and that's on the left here. And there's just very little contextual clues as to what that meant. So in the redesign, we added more descriptions and changed the iconography up a little bit and just made it a little bit more clear as to what they are choosing. In addition, there was very little imagery attached to these items in the cart or in the wish list view. And that was one thing that users came back with asking for, basically more typical e-commerce experience. They wanted images attached to the products and just to make it a little bit more visually appealing. So we went from a table view, a typical sort of like wish list grid, to a more typical e-commerce layout. And then in addition to that, at the end, you get this receipt that shows, all the products you've added to the wish list, delivery instructions if you're delivering, and then the ability to email it to yourself. So an email like a wish list so you know what you're actually picking up as you walk around the store. And that page was just, it lacked clarity, was not really customized based on the decision that they made eventually. So using the database and sort of the logic there, we were able to update the design at the second half and actually dynamically change the content based on some of the decisions the users make earlier in the flow. So once that was all done, we did a final round of user testing, and this was done right before the final was submitted in April of 2016. And through that, we just sort of worked to validate all of the changes that were done from the first batch of user testing and then see possible enhancements for future iterations of it. So now I'll go through the demo of the actual site so you can see it live instead of just screenshots. So this is the marketing site. This was more, this wasn't the bulk of the project. It was more so the space where I could have an admin from a nonprofit log on, learn about Marty's Way, and then create their wish list. So this is just a one-page overview, sort of the home page of the marketing site, so to speak. We have a primary call to action of actually registering your nonprofit or learning how it works. So just a really simple how it works. Basically, you sign up, the nonprofit selects the items that they need, and then they allow the user to start sharing it and pushing it out to the kiosks. And then just giving sort of a history behind the product for the nonprofit so they kind of get where this name comes from and the overall inspiration. And then hopefully, if we have actually kiosks installed at local stores, they could, create a map of sort of pinpoints so nonprofits can see that this is actually being used across their city and, people will find them. So it's a very simple site. It basically just allows the nonprofit to log in. And so I'm already logged into a nonprofit's profile. The profile essentially just gives them an overview of their account details. So this is all that they went through during registration. And this basically is all the information that will then be populated on the kiosk end. So users can, see the hours of operation, where they're located, and make sure it's a perfect fit for them in terms of donating. And then we have an overview of wish lists that have been created by the nonprofit. So like this one, for example, has a summer 2016 wish list, so what they need for the summer versus what they need for the winter. and then just a brief overview of items that have already been purchased by consumers, so what's going to be delivered soon versus what will be need to be picked up. And then down here, you can actually quickly go to the wish list as well, and you can see an overview of the items that are on this wish list. You can delete this wish list, or you can add more to it. So if we click add more, we can then browse products. And obviously this is just sort of a prototype, so there's not, every category of items, but just an overview. And basically the nonprofit would go on here, click an item, pick a quantity, add it to a wish list, and then it would be added, and then they could continue shopping. They could also create a new wish list, and with that, we want to give users context as to why this wish list is even, attached to a nonprofit or why they need it. So we give them the ability to customize the wish list name, give a brief description, a start and end date. So if it's something that's for, an event, we can actually, bucket it there, and then it can just sort of expire. And then from there, they can go through and actually add products. So the kiosk application would live on, this is sort of formatted for like an iPad screen. I used to have an iPad, I don't anymore when I had the presentation, but so we'll just show it here. But this would be your landing screen. Just like the marketing site, it would give the consumers now an overview of how they actually move through the application. So they search for a nonprofit, they select items, and then they begin shopping in the store. If they want to learn more about Marty and where this comes from, they can click over to the About Us. It's very simple, similar to the marketing site, just giving them context into the company. And then they want to just start shopping. And so this is meant to be pretty easy in terms of getting people through the flow really fast. It's supposed to be, like your typical made-to-ordering system, right? And then we give them the opportunity to select a category, so a local organization category that they would like to donate to. So we'll do animals. And then here is where I was talking about, where they decide whether they actually pick it up, have the nonprofits pick it up, or if they deliver it themselves. So we'll deliver it ourselves. And then they get a list of actually nonprofits that fit their requirements. So we'll go to PhilaU, which is the one I was recently logged into. And here you can see an overview of all that information that was just displayed, some imagery, and then the wish lists that are available to me as a consumer to shop from. So I go here, and then just the way that the database is set up, I have to then, attach an email and a name, and this just ensures that I can get my list once I complete the process. And then, like I said, you'll see a typical e-commerce system where you start to add products to your wish list, or not to your wish list, to your cart. So we'll say 3. And then here it dynamically updates to give you an overview of how much money you're spending. And then from there, we just get next steps. So I can either cancel my order, or I can actually pay now. And this was all just a prototype, so it really doesn't lead anywhere. But if I wanted to cancel my order, if this was too expensive, or I'm just not ready to purchase at this time, I can cancel, and it would kick me back over to the landing screen for the next user. So in terms of next steps, like I said, what you just saw demoed was what was used on the final round of usertesting.com, and then I also did some user testing of my own with family and friends. But there were some backlogged issues, so just issues with the app based on limitations of my knowledge of development. And one of them was if additional quantities were added of the same product. So if I bought 2 mops, then I realized I wanted to buy 3 mops. Each mop instance was listed. It was a duplicate entry. I couldn't figure out a way to get that to merge into, say, 5. So that's something that obviously we would want to actually sum that up and have a whole sum of mops purchased. In addition, the ability to remove individual items from my cart. So as a consumer, maybe I don't want to buy all 5 items in the cart. I only want to buy 2 for the nonprofit. Right now, you have to actually cancel your entire order. So actually having the ability to revise an order. And then update the code structure. This came out of user testing. Users felt it was sort of assuming that we asked for your name and your email up front before you actually saw the wish list of items, just because giving your email feels sort of personal. So if that could be something that was done at the end of the process, they would prefer that. That was how the database and sort of my structure was built out, so that's something that would just have to be refactored. And then an area where nonprofits can actually update their own account information. Right now I have that. If you have to update your information, you need to email me and I will update it. In terms of possible enhancements that came out of user testing, the next button that's at the bottom of the kiosk app, right now it's blue the entire time. They thought it would be neat that once you've completed the step, it went from sort of disabled and gray to blue. Add the ability for users to actually switch how they're donating these items. So right now you pick, whether you're picking up or whether you're dropping off at the very beginning of the flow, but you have no opportunity to go back and edit that. So they would like to be able to do that. In addition, an interesting point that was brought up was sort of the Yelp model, where you see like how expensive a restaurant is. They want to see how expensive a wish list was. So a wish list that has like a ton of expensive items, maybe I can't afford that. So we'd have like sort of a rating system, which I thought was a pretty nice piece of feedback. And then also just allowing nonprofits to sort of customize their account further. Right now they can't upload, their logo or imagery specific to them, so giving them that opportunity. In addition, some future objectives in the short term, like I said, allow the kiosk, the users at the kiosk to buy items from multiple wish lists. So if I want to donate to maybe 3 different nonprofits, instead of having to complete one order and then start the process over again, actually allow them to sort of add on. And then also adjust delivery methods at the end of the summary screen, which I said. Allow for users to actually pay at the cart or pay at the kiosk. So instead of having to pick my items, go around the store, and then pay at checkout, actually give them the ability to sort of pay at the kiosk, like using Square or something similar. And then just research ways to pull in like a store's product API, so you actually get legitimate product prices. Right now it's using just prices that I found and created an average, but actually giving people realistic expectations on what these products would cost. Long-term objectives, create a companion app that would mirror the kiosk. So say I use a kiosk at a store once and then I move, and my local stores no longer have the kiosk, but I want to get involved. Actually giving the ability to the user to download a companion app and see the registries there. So kiosks would be more brand awareness, getting the product out there, and then the companion app would just sort of expand the impact. And then also the companion app would allow users to create an account and actually track their donations. And one of the big pieces of feedback I got from multiple people, including people in that target audience of the late 50s, was actually tracking donations so that you can use it for tax exemptions. And then also add the ability for nonprofits to register at the kiosk. Right now they have to go, back to their home, log onto the marketing site and create their registries that way, but giving not only consumers, but nonprofits the ability to use the kiosk. In addition to all of this, we had to sort of lay out a business plan and how we would, aim to make money. In terms of what we would need from the nonprofits, we would hope that a Marty's Way account would be free to the nonprofits. We discussed how they're already limited in resources, people, technology, so we don't want to add to that. So where would we make our money? Stores. The first solution would be that Marty's Way would be more of like a subscription model. The store would pay like a monthly or a yearly fee to actually have the kiosk located at their store. So it would be a monthly installment. And the one way that we could justify that is that it's pretty minor in comparison to the revenue they would be making on the items purchased. The second solution would be to pay an initial flat fee for the kiosk, and then a small percentage of all purchases made at the kiosk would go back to us. In terms of growth strategy, social media would be huge, because not only would we have social accounts, but the stores that we're located in would have social accounts, and then obviously nonprofits. So we could all sort of, work together and create this marketing effort. In addition, that same study I looked at that sort of gave insight into how nonprofits work and use mobile technology highlighted holiday giving. This is a time of year where people start actually donating to their local nonprofits. So that's when we would do like a hard marketing push. So that is Marty's Way. That was the product. It was, the kiosk app and then also the marketing site. Thank you.